Howdy everyone. So you can see I've got this is the bottom of the wing, right? So this is the bottom of the wingtip is now clecoed in place. And this is where things start to get a little tricky. A couple of things again. You can see, let's see, I don't know what would be the better angle. Maybe just right down through the center here. You can see the interface between the fiberglass wingtip and the wing skin right down through here. Again, there's a flange under here, obviously, that the clecos go through of the wingtip. So there's a step right here. You don't want the skin to be up on that step because then it's going to have a curve to it. The skin will kind of curve up onto that fiberglass step. So you want the skin, you want to be sure that the skin is laying flat on the flange that's underneath it. You don't want the edge of the skin riding up on the edge of the flange. And you can see potentially how good that fit is. And it's like that on the top and the bottom, pretty much the entire length of the wingtip. So here's where things start to get a little tricky. And I'll show you this in detail when I get the wingtip back off of the wing. But I believe this is the bottom of the wing. I think it's these 4 clecos. It might just be these 3. You'll remember that there is this outer piece of fiberglass and then there is that inner piece of fiberglass. It's actually a rib, a fiberglass rib, and it's part of the structure that holds the lights in place. But this skin is not attached to that skin. It's not attached along here. The rib is inside. So it's not attached to the rib here or here. It's only attached back here with epoxy. There's a gap between this skin and that skin. And again, it's on the bottom and it's on the top. The reason for that is obviously that flange has got a definite shape to it. I mean, that rib has got a shape to it. You can't change that shape, but you can change how this outer skin gets pulled up to fit the wing skin. And that's why I was saying that you want to make sure that there's no binding with that flange and this end rib of the wing. So the clecos, as you drill and put in your clecos, the clecos will grab this outer skin and pull it up tight to the wing skin. When you get in this area here, you want to only drill through this outer skin. You don't want to drill through the flange that makes up that inner rib. The reason for that is you want the clecos to take this outer skin and bring it up to the wing skin as best you can all the way up front, and again on both sides. If you drill through this outer skin and that flange bulkhead rib that's underneath, you're going to end up trying to clamp them two together, and that rib is not going to give. That rib is actually going to pull this skin down to it, and it's going to bend a little bit this skin down to it, or the clecos won't have enough strength to pull anything together. It will look like you've got a good fit, but in reality it probably could be better if you were only grabbing the outer skin. And I'll explain that here in a second. I'm going to take this wingtip off, and again I'll show you what it looks like on the inside, and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. But you want this outer skin on both bottom and top, especially in this nose area where that inner fiberglass rib is located. You want to make sure that those get pulled up tight, top and bottom, without any holes in that inner rib as best you can. So what will happen then, to get this fit a little bit better between this outer skin and that inner rib, you're going to put shims, and those shims will take these outer skins and spread them out away from that fiberglass rib. It will make them fatter, and it will tuck up underneath here nice and tight. And at that point you can match drill through everything and put on your nut plates. But we'll get there here in a second. For now, I had match drilled everything, so now I'm going to take this wingtip off. I'm going to clean all the holes. I'm going to clean out all the debris, vacuum everything real good. And I'll again go over that fiberglass rib that's inside here. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. So here's the wing off of the aircraft and on the bench, obviously. A couple of things. First, let's talk about this flange and edge distance. So this is the flange that I've been talking about that gets stuck up underneath the wing skin. And you can see, like I had said before, I had to trim this back because when I tried to fit the wing, when I tried to fit this to the wing skin would stop short. It wouldn't be able, I couldn't get the tip up underneath there far enough to get the edge of the wing skin lined up with this seam or this step right here. Over here on the wing, if you can picture the wing tip trying to fit underneath here, that flange was so wide that it would hit this rib, and this edge of the skin would not extend far enough into this step. You want the edge of the skin to come over and lay right in here really nice. In order to do that, I had to cut this flange back. But you don't want to take too much off because you'll lose this edge distance. When you do your match drilling, you won't have good edge distance here. So you have to take just enough off of this edge that the wingtip will nest inside the wing skins really nice, but you don't want it so wide that it will rub and interfere with the rib that's on the wing. I hope that makes sense. So you can see here, after having it trimmed and after match drilling, those holes pretty much fall dead center between the outer edge and the step. And when I had this on the actual wing, the skin laid right in this step like I had tried to show on the camera when it was actually installed. So that's the first thing. The second thing is back to this rib area that's in the front. So again, this is a formed fiberglass rib that helps hold the lights and stuff that are inside. This rib is only epoxied along the back here and on the other side. It's not attached here and it's not attached through here, again on both sides. This flange and this flange are not attached to this outer skin. So you can see here where the two come together, but they're not attached to one another. So what happens is you drill through this outer skin only. So this is the bottom, and you can see there's a hole here, here, and here. This hole, there's no flange underneath it. So it's just these three holes on the bottom. You only drill through the outer skin. When you put a cleco in, you want that cleco to pull this outer skin up. You want to pull the skin up to the wing skin aluminum through here. So you want the cleco to pull this up like I'm doing with my hand. So you don't want to drill through this inner flange and put a cleco through both of these, because this flange is not going to move. It's part of the rib. You want this outer skin to be able to flex up to the aluminum and leave this like it is. You don't want to drill all the way through it. And you want to do that on both sides. You can see here is the two flanges, if you will. This is a flange, this is the skin. And again, when you put the clecos in, you want it to pull the skin into, this was hard to do one-handed, but you want to pull this skin into the aluminum and leave this undrilled as best you can. It's hard to get a cleco to go into the top skin and grab correctly, because you may not have enough space between these for the cleco to do its job. But do what you can with what you have, right? So then what will happen is, at this point, I need to start putting shims in between here. And those shims are going to force the skin out. It's going to force the skin out. And it's going to force that to nest inside of here as good as you can get it. Now with the zip tips, this leading edge of the actual zip tip doesn't conform to this wing shape as well as I would like it to. It's not the end of the world, at least not for me. It doesn't really matter as long as I can get it close. So that's what I need to do next. I need to put the shims to get those skins to open up and close any gaps that are going to be in here. And you only have to do that for the hole locations where that actual fiberglass flange is located. So again, this is the bottom of the wingtip. You can see the flange ends right here. So there's only 1, 2, 3 holes on the bottom. The flange ends right here. And there are, what do we have underneath here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 holes underneath. So now I'm going to start sticking aluminum strips in here, 1/2 inch wide. You know, this one will probably be about 9 or 10 inches in length. This one will probably be about 7 inches in length, roughly. I'll get them cut and I'll start sticking shims in here of different thicknesses. And then I'll dry fit this to the wing. And again, the idea is to expand those skins so they'll slip underneath here nice and snug and tight. If you shim it too much, the wingtip won't fit. You can kind of start it back here and try to wedge it up in here, but if you've got the shims too thick, it's just not going to go. So you want to shim it just enough top and bottom so that it will fit in here nice and there will be no gap between the skin and the fiberglass tip. That's a lot of trial and error. Your shims may not be the same. You may have, let's say, a 60, 70, 80,000 stack of shims in here, and you may only need 30 thousandths of a stack up on this side. Again, you just have to custom fit it, trial and error until you get it the way that you like it. At that point, with the shims in here, and it's fitted correctly, now you can go ahead and drill through your stack up and this flange, and ultimately you'll have nut plates that will rivet all of this together. And then of course you'll have the through bolt that will hold this to the wingtip. Obviously with your stack up in here and everything shimmed correctly, this whole thing will be riveted and bolted together. It won't change shape because you've got your shims in there, and it attaches this outer skin finally to this inner rib. And the whole thing becomes nice and solid, and obviously it will hold its shape. So that's next for me. I got to start making some shims of various thicknesses and trial and error, try to get those to fit and get them fitted to the actual wing. So I'm going to get cracking on that, and I will talk to you guys later.